A new phone call between Donald Trump and RFK Jr. just got leaked, and it is devastating for Trump and his campaign. This was a private conversation between the two men, and it got filmed on the RFK Jr. side by a film crew that was at his house at the time doing some campaign work. And then, funnily enough, it was released publicly on social media by RFK Jr.'s son, who put it out, and then it was quickly deleted. But of course, the video was downloaded by a variety of people, and now it's being covered in a multitude of publications. It's kind of everywhere. It's a big story for the day, and rightly so. It kind of reveals who Donald Trump is. It reveals who RFK Jr. is. It shows Donald Trump for the grifter and conspiracy theorist that he is. It's just a awful moment for Trump and his campaign, especially because this is a pivotal moment in the 2024 election. This is not the headline you want when the RNC is taking place as we speak. So we're going to look at this video. We'll talk about it a little bit, but the first half of this audio that I want to show you is Donald Trump peddling vaccine conspiracy theorists to RFK Jr., who, as we know, is a big vaccine conspiracy theorist. So take a look.
I agree with you, man. Something's wrong with that whole system. And it's the doctors you find. Remember I said I want to do small doses. Small doses. When you feed a baby, Bobby, a vaccination that has like 38 different vaccines, and it looks like it's meant for a horse, not a 10-pound or 20-pound baby. It looks like you should be giving a horse this. And do you ever see the size of it, right? It's this massive. And then you see the baby all of a sudden starting to change radically. I've seen it too many times. And then you hear that it doesn't have an impact, right? But you and I talked about that a long time ago.
Yeah, that was just outrageous. A bunch of lies, falsehoods, and conspiracy theories that are not based on any fact. They're based on fiction. They're based on made-up lies from people like RFK Jr. and these lunatics who are against science, against medicine. And Donald Trump is buying into it. Now we know who Donald Trump really is, what he actually thinks about vaccines. You heard him right there. He said that your kids that are 10, 20 pounds get 38 vaccines. It looked like it's meant for a horse, and they tell us that there's no repercussion of that. You know what the repercussion is? A healthier society. A healthier society. You don't see people in iron lungs anymore with polio. You don't see people walking around with measles, red spots on them. If you get vaccinated for COVID, you're significantly less likely to go to the hospital and die. That's the repercussion. That's the benefit from society. That's modern medicine. It's a beautiful and wonderful thing. Donald Trump doesn't think so. I mean, again, look what he just said. At the beginning of the audio, he says, I agree, Bobby. There's something wrong with the system. There's something wrong with vaccinating people. What? And I think that this is, a broader problem in the Republican Party. Because as you also heard Donald Trump right there, he blamed the doctors. He said it's the doctors who are doing this. It's the doctors. And it's always been the case with Donald Trump that two things here. That number one, with medicine, it's the doctors. It's never that they know what they're doing. It's because he apparently knows more. Think about COVID with Dr. Fauci. Donald Trump discredited him, or attempted to, every step of the way, when Dr. Fauci is one of the most cited virologists in the world, not just the United States, in the world, who is an expert in his field. He knows what he's talking about. But all the time, Donald Trump said, no, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I know better. And Donald Trump is kind of continuing that godlike mentality he has of himself, where he says, you know what? We have these scientists who have dedicated their lives to vaccines, dedicated their lives to making society better. But I know more because I'm Donald Trump and I'm the best thing since sliced bread. That's what Donald Trump is saying right there. And RFK Jr. is buying into it. He's holding the phone like, yeah, no, you're right, for sure. And the other thing I want to point out is that Trump always, not just in medicine, has a problem with authority. Like, if somebody knows more than him, he automatically says that's not true and says that he is the expert on the topic, whether it be lawyers, doctors, any professional in any field who knows more. Donald Trump says, no, don't listen to them, listen to me. And that's really at the core of what Donald Trump is saying here. He's a vaccine conspiracist publicly, and he is internally. But at the foundation of what he's arguing here, it's because he thinks he's God. It's because he thinks he knows better than anybody else. And RFK Jr., he's an accomplice in this. He's sitting there like, yeah, no, you're right. I mean, what a disgrace. What a disgrace. This should be shared everywhere. Like, every American needs to see this clip. And I think that, especially for Americans who are brushed up on their world history from all these pandemics and all these illnesses who have been stopped or cured by vaccines. Just remember that that's the man that Donald Trump is. That's what he believes in his core. But the video doesn't end there. There's another second half I want to show you where Donald Trump talks about his campaign and the shooting that recently occurred at his Pennsylvania rally. So this is not good. This is yet another part that's just not good. Take a look.
And I think it'll be so good for you and so big for you. And we're going to win. We're going to win. We're way ahead of the guy. And, he's interesting. He was very nice, actually. He called me. And he said, how did you choose to move to the right? So I guess that's, people say, if I was looking straight up, right? He said, I said, I was just showing a chart. I didn't have to tell him the chart was on all the people pouring into our country, right? But I just turned my head to show the chart. And something wrapped me. It felt like a giant, like the world's largest mosquito. And it was a bullet going right. What do they call that, an AR-15 or something? That was a big gun. Those are pretty tough guns, right?
Yeah, so a little bit hard to catch, but at the beginning of the video, that's where the most important part, in my view, occurred. Because Donald Trump reportedly in this phone call was asking for RFK Jr.'s endorsement. And that kind of gives us some context as to why he's buying into the vaccine conspiracies. And he's saying, it's going to be so good for you, implying that maybe if RFK Jr. endorses him, he'll get an administration spot. He'll get some, kind of a quid pro quo from Donald Trump. And Trump says right there, we're going to win. And RFK Jr. says, yeah. Yeah, RFK Jr. agrees. He's on board. He's on the Trump train. And it might give us some context as to why RFK Jr. has been in the race from the beginning. It was always to hurt the Democrats. It was always to hurt the Democrats. He ran in the Democratic Party to try to challenge Joe Biden for the nomination, constantly attacking him, spending millions of dollars to do so. He's backed by Trump donors. Then he realized that, oh, you know what? The Democratic Party is actually full of really intelligent people, really people who actually care about their community. So, of course, they're not going to vote for a lunatic like me. I got to go run an independent campaign. And as I mentioned, his top donor, Trump donor, getting funded by Trump PACs. That's who our RFK Jr. is. And he's like, yep, Trump, you're going to win. You're going to win. And then, Donald Trump goes on to talk about the assassination attempt where he says that Joe Biden called him. He was very nice, of course, because that's who Joe Biden is. He's a good, decent man who does things like that. Even if it's his opponent, he'll reach out, make sure they're okay. But we're seeing this kind of coordination here, or at least attempted coordination here from Trump and RFK Jr., where they want to unite. They want to unite against Joe Biden. They're terrified. I mean, at the end of the day, Donald Trump, projects this surety in his win. He says, I'm going to win. I'm going to win. I'm going to win. Trust me. But they're terrified. He's trying to get RFK Jr.'s endorsement, try to get those people to swing over to him. And yet, it hasn't happened yet, but I want people to be on the lookout for an RFK Jr. endorsement of Donald Trump. And that would really just come full circle in what we just talked about, that RFK Jr. has always been there not to run a serious race, but to try to damage Joe Biden and not have that attack directly come from Donald Trump. So really revealing stuff here, really revealing that I really hope every American gets the opportunity to see, and they can see how not only is RFK Jr. crazy, but Trump is a vaccine conspiracy theorist, grifter, con man, loser. So anyway, I'll wrap up the video there. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you watching. Make sure to subscribe down below. It goes an incredibly long way. Also, drop a like in the video and comment. Let me know what you think about this. I'm really excited to hear from all of you. And look, as I always say, I appreciate you being here, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.